It's time for Twig This Week in Google. On this show, I will buy a $75,000 robot that looks like a dog. Well, at least I'll put it in my shopping cart. I'll tell you two things that Facebook and Instagram have done that I think make a big difference. And Jeff will tell you something he doesn't like that Facebook did. That's bizarre. And then we'll look at my head rotating in space. It's all coming up next on Twig. This Week in Google comes to you from Twit's LastPass Studios. Stay in control when it comes to your company's access points and authentication. LastPass makes enterprise-level security simple for your remote workforce. Check out lastpass.com/twit to learn more.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 564, recorded Wednesday, June 17th, 2020. Non Sequitur Land. This Week in Google is brought to you by Worldwide Technology and App Dynamics, who together help you build and deliver high-quality applications at velocity. Are you ready to transform your business by updating or adding a mobile app to improve your customer experience? How about streamlining your work to be more efficient with apps? WWT makes your vision a reality. Visit wwt.com/twit1 to get started. It's time for Twig, This Week in Google, the show that doesn't cover Google, except when we feel like it. Jeff Jarvis is here. He's the, wait a minute.
I'm the blah, 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 at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism.
That's all that matters.
Fine.
I could just say at the Craig Newmark.
Leo, can we tattoo that on the back of your hand or both hands?
It has to go up his whole arm and up the other arm.
The late Fred Willard, who I just adored, and you may remember he was the Ed McMahon, the second banana on Fernwood Tonight with Martin Mull as the host. And every time he was reading tonight's guests, and at the end he would look down at the card and he would say, "And I'm," and he would read his name on the card. It made me laugh every single time. "And I'm the Leonard Tao Professor for Journalistic Innovation at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York."
Yuck. And
yes.
Now our star,
Stacey Higginbotham, back from a week off. She is, of course, from Stacey on IoT.com, an expert on all things tiny, whether they be chips, IoT devices, even radios. She knows all about that stuff. And she's also got an event coming up. Is it next week?
No more events. I did my event.
You did the event. How'd it go?
Yeah.
Oh, it went super well, and I'm delayed on giving out my Hoppin update on like how to use the platform and all that good stuff. But it went really well.
Machine learning at the edge. Oh, yeah, it was June 11th. Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah.
And Hoppin worked well? Hoppin worked well?
It did and it didn't. There were some like little glitches, but
this is what
everyone
you used
was happy.
Instead of Zoom.
And yes. So the videos are up on YouTube if anyone gets excited.
The quality's good. I have to say the quality looks great.
Oh, can I just tell you, you see that wood ceiling behind the Karen Panetta, Dr. Karen Panetta down there?
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. She made that herself from lumber.
Whoa.
She cut herself.
Okay.
All in the COVID, all during the pandemic, probably too.
No, she's had that forever. But yeah,
that
Dr.
is
Karen
gorgeous.
Panetta.
That's amazing.
That is
awesome?
truly
That's a winner.
amazing. Yeah, that's awesome. See, the difference here is we don't make you sit on camera when somebody else is talking. You can yawn, you can go to sleep, you can eat lunch. But this, when you're one of these things, you gotta always be on, man.
Oh, see, there was a glitch.
Yes.
So every now and then
Somebody would drop out.
people had to pop out. It was Hoppin is real persnickety around the microphone usage.
Oh, interesting.
So if anything starts losing the microphone or starts trying to use the microphone, it'll just like cut you out for everybody.
And then
poor
Karen had to move over.
Yeah.
That's funny. Oh, I have to watch. That's exciting. This is about machine learning at the edge.
Yeah, the best, I think the most interesting for the more technically inclined is probably Dan Jevons, who was the one below you or below that one. That's like, that was, the first one was kind of like intro. And then Dan really talked about like scaling challenges. He was really good.
He's with Shell Oil. And then there's more here.
And my monetization, porcine.
Making money at the outer edge. Nice. So good. You're going to do more of these, I hope, Stacey.
I am. My next one is going to be on ecosystems, and I'm really torn. As I was telling Jeff, I've got so many decisions about moving, which happens in like 10 days.
Wow.
So I'm like, oh, too much to do.
Wow. I'm going to be on Alex Lindsay's event tomorrow. I have to get up really early in the morning for that.
Oh, how many people does he have on at a time? What's the full block there?
I think there's. If you go to youtube.com/Alex Lindsay, you can see. I think it's 25, and then but there's there's other people. That's the people he calls them in the pit, and then so these are all the people in the pit. Yeah, it's 25, and then there are hundreds of other people watching. It's complicated, but it's really cool. So he does these every Monday through Sunday. He does them every day of the week. They start about 6 a.m. Pacific time. They really get underway 7 and 8, and they go till about 9. He says on the weekends it goes even longer. He puts up the middle part, the kind of formal part, on YouTube at youtube.com/Alex Lindsay, and he uses Zoom for this. But he also does, this is cool, this is that new Google feature we talked about last week, where he just puts in the times, and Google will actually make that a link, so you can jump. So as you're reading the show notes, you say, I want to jump to using royalty-free music and commercial streams. It'll jump right to that portion if you click it, which that's done by
that's awesome.
Yeah, you have to put the
really
time code in, but it makes it a hot link, which is nice. And then if you want to join the conversation on tomorrow morning, I think I'm there 7 or 8. I'll be there early. But this is the Zoom link. Zoom. It's right at the bottom of the show notes. So it's just a regular permanent Zoom call. You should read that and read the rules about how to be an attendee. But that'll be fun. That'll be fun.
Wait, does he say something about not being a jerk?
Don't be a jerk. He has, as you know, with Alex, he has very tight control over everything. I think worse than being a jerk is poor video quality from Alex's point of view. So,
yeah.
So he has very high standards. I hope I can live up to them. I've ordered some Klieg lights from Hollywood. No, I haven't. But that's going to be fun.
I was like, wow, I feel like you probably have good lighting.
We have some pretty good lighting, but I'm not going to do it from here. I'm going to do it at home.
Do it from home?
Yeah. I have the cameras.
Do you have a ring light?
No, I should. You know what I wish I had, and you can't get them anymore. Elgato sells those key lights. And I bet that they're probably trying to produce them as fast as they can. But they are really a nice portable. You guys should look at that. In fact,
I was about to say that's what you should get. Yes, those are cool.
Once they get back in production, John, we should get a whole bunch of these because it's a LED, but it's soft. You see.
Yeah, those are nice.
And you can set the temperature, so it's kind of it's a cool idea. And they're not very big, but you see how he's got that set right on the. This is actually the Twitch streamer dream, right? You put this on your monitor, and the camera's on your other monitor, and now you're Mr. Twitch.
Real camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I noticed a lot of people with their ring lights drives me nuts because you can see the ring, right?
Yeah.
You can see it in their glasses or in their iris, and you're like, buddy.
Yeah.
I had for my little pro setup that people sent me to record the speech, they sent 2 of those and they just hung out here. And I was tempted to not give them back, but I did. I did give them back, y'all.
Jeez, it looks like
you're very yawling today.
Y'all, she thinks
the third
she's back
yawl
in
I've heard
Austin.
from you today.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This will be all right.
I think
don't be sorry.
Tired
don't be sorry.
I default to inclusivity when I'm tired. Did I talk to? No, my mom's from Buffalo, New York. She doesn't say y'all.
Oh, okay.
She's not a yaller.
All right, let's. So
I've got a goal today. I've got a goal for the show.
A goal.
I've got a goal.
A goal.
So whenever there's a new product out, we try to goad Leo into buying it.
Okay, I'll buy it.
And by the time he buys it, all right, I'm ready. I want you to go ahead and buy your own spot robot.
Oh, it's only $74,000. Yes. Oh, 74.
I'm sure the business is in great shape. You got the extra money. I want to see you buy the Spot robot walking around the studio.
Both your premises are false, my friend. And do I really want a robot walking around the studio?
You do.
They're selling it. This is the Boston Dynamics dog robot that we've shown many times. The terrifying dog robot that they finally are selling, but they're selling it for research uses.
And sell any business. You're a business.
No, any business. They have that thing patrolling parks in Singapore, man.
Yeah.
Like,
we
social
showed that.
distance.
Yeah. Meet
And
Spot.
You can have it bring your coffee to you.
Which Spot is right for you? Explorer, Enterprise, or Academic? Explorer. It puts
if
the power.
If you got to request a quote, you can't afford it.
Yeah. No, I never buy anything where they say, ask us. Here, I just add that to my cart right here.
There it is.
There it is in
Lisa.
the cart. Yeah, Lisa, quick, Lisa. Let's just see what I'm ordering. State-of-the-art sensing. It can go up and down stairs. It's got headlights. But what would you use this for, really?
You send it out to
people?
inspect your oil pipelines.
Yeah, it's stuff like that.
Actually, you could have it watch your children. Because it does actually have a camera.
The children, that's therapy right there. That's hours of therapy.
Oh my God, did it just sit in front of that guy's desk?
I think that's so cute.
Yes, it's so cute.
Yeah.
So cute. So cute.
You can teach it to dance.
Yeah. Programmable payload. Oh, I love that.
Oh,
you can
tell it to go get you a beer, Leo, and it'll go to the fridge. It can open the fridge door, get your beer, and bring it
that's
to you.
worth $74,000 right there.
This guy's clearly in the oil industry, and he's got 2 spots sleeping in front of his desk.
Like a nice dog just waiting for him.
And a MacBook, which is not the case at all.
No, I think that's a Surface. I think that's a Surface.
Oh,
don't you think?
I was like,
that looks like well, it's indistinct. It's no brand. What is the term that Alex uses when they do that to brand logos? He talked about that on MacBreak Weekly. There's a name for it. Yeah, it's not anything you would anyway. I'm sure the chat room will tell me. Congratulations. Friday is a holiday at Google. I think this is a good idea. Juneteenth is an official, well, I'm not clear. It's on the calendar. I don't know if people at Google are taking the day off, but it is now part of the official U.S. holidays calendar, also known as Freedom Day or Jubilee Day. This Friday is the day the last enslaved Black Americans were freed in all the U.S. And it really happens because the South ignored the Emancipation Proclamation of 2 years earlier. It wasn't until after the Civil War ended that the last slaves were freed. In your home state, Stacey, Texas of America.
Amazon is telling employees to cancel meetings but work, and then offering educational events.
God, that's like those
so
school
Amazon.
Holidays where the teachers were like doing in-service, but you still had to come and they made you watch videos.
Yeah, that's so Amazon. That's just like,
Isn't it?
Oh, no meetings. Where am I going to get my pizza? Google has also created a task force to improve racial equity in the company. It will listen to staff feedback and even work. Oh, I have to be a BI subscriber to read this.
More subscriptions for Leo.
Yeah,
This will be what we
I hit the
buy
same
today.
thing. Yep.
You know, I just recently I realized I have been using The Guardian so much. I said, you know what? I really ought to kick in.
Yeah, good.
I don't
do
need
the
to
same
give the
thing.
Business Insider diddly.
No, it's owned by Springer. Right?
I am not a fan. But The Guardian, it's a British paper, right?
Yes, it's based in London, but it's worldwide. It has major offices in New York and in Australia.
And I'll tell you why I gave money to The Guardian, because they don't have a paywall. But every time you go there, they
beg.
Guilt you.
Not beg, but there's a pop-up and stuff. But I full
disclosure, I worked with them on the membership program.
Good. Oh, well, you'll be glad to know.
But you know, we thought it was membership, and pretty quickly they said, you know what, it's not membership. We're not really offering. We're not giving people tote bags or anything. So it's really
you can't call it that. It's a donation.
It's charity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I learned that
But
also. Yeah, you can't call it a membership if you don't give them anything.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I don't know about the UK, but in the United States, you have to be careful about the language you use. Yeah.
Huh.
This is why I don't charge people money.
Yeah.
It's just too complicated.
Yeah, the taxes, tax laws get involved and things like that. Let me log into the Guardian though, since I did actually pay for them. I should probably log in so that they know I'm here. Your newest guy. I didn't. Now Jeff did tell me. What did they give you your choice of payments?
They give you all kinds of things. So a brilliant woman named Amanda Mickle is the genius behind most of what they did. And we brought her to New York right before the shutdown to talk to other audience people and other publications. And there's just great detail about how they do this. They've learned through the data, because Amanda's an old campaign organizer. So she understands how to work people that way. And so they found that some people say, yeah, I want to give you once a year. That's it. I'm done. Thank you very much. Okay, goodbye. But other people say, no. It feels good to reward you, and I want to do it every time I see a story I like. I want to give you a little more money. And so they need options for both. They propose amounts, but people will give whatever they want to give. And more than 1 million people have given, more than 1 million contributions, I think it is.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'm never going to give the Financial Times any money because I can't tell what I'm not getting. But with the Guardian, I was reading it. What I realized was I was reading it every day.
Exactly, and that's what they also found this. I love this. It was I forget the exact number of zeros here, but they started by having kind of an ad unit saying, "Hey, give us money," and then they experimented and got rid of that. And then Kath Viner, the editor in chief, did a few paragraphs of, "You schmuck, you just read this story. Don't you feel guilty? Shouldn't you give us money?"
That's what got me in the end. It was like half the page.
Yeah. That was a 90x improvement.
Oh, wow.
In contribution.
Yeah, I think people appreciate being it was actually well done. It's like, look, you clearly appreciate what we do. You're reading it. This is why we would love you to give us some money. This isn't free. We need to pay for it somehow. And journalism's dying everywhere, and I do want to reward good. And
they did research with readers who found what they found was readers said, no, we want to give you money so that it is free for the world because we think what you do is important for the world.
Okay.
Whereas journalists so often value themselves about saying, well, what I do is valuable. You should pay me for it. No, people valued it in an entirely different way. Now, of course, in the U.S., we have the tradition of public radio and TV to a lesser extent. But it works even in the UK and in Australia.
Yeah. Anyway, I like how they did it, and it didn't guilt me so much as inform me, and then I just used my brain to say, I have been using this a lot. They deserve, and I didn't give them the biggest amount of money I could. I gave them what I felt was a reasonable amount of money for how much I read. So
today I did an interview, which we're going to put the video up in a couple of days, with a guy named Rafat Ali. Did you ever run into Rafat?
No.
Rafat,
yes. Is it Rafat or Rafit? Yeah. So
Giga it's actually Rafat. There's no accent. I asked him today, is it Rafat or Rafat? Okay. He said it's neither. Okay. It's Rafat.
Rafat.
Okay.
But he'd started paidcontent.org. Remember that?
Yeah. Giga bought it. I don't think a lot of him.
Oh.
Okay. Well, he's a unique character, but he started Skift. I like Rafat. He started Skift, which covers the travel industry. Mm-hmm. And so A, he covers the travel industry. B, his primary 40% of his revenue is events. So he got hit in both. So we had a very frank discussion about what he's gone through, and he's keeping the business afloat. And so anyway, I'll have that video up soon. Yeah, I think, Stacey, we might have had this conversation. I'm going
to start all the sentences for the rest of the show with the word Google. So that way people will think that the show's about Google.
Well, let's talk about Google.
Google did not demonetize Zero Hedge. NBC got it wrong.
I thought they did Zero Hedge, but they didn't do Federalist.
No, both the National Review, Fox News, and NBC, which broke the story. The issue was that there was content. They're both Zero Hedge and the Federalist are strongly conservative. And I'm saying that actually very generously because really they're cuckoo. And the story that NBC broke was that Google was going to demonetize them. They would no longer be able to run Google ads. Fortunately, Mike Masnick, as usual on Tech Dirt.
Good for you, Mike.
No, Google did not demonetize the Federalist, and it is not an example of any conservative bias. In fact, they did the same thing to the Federalist and Zero Hedge that they had done to TechDirt. Google, in the case of TechDirt, because of certain comments people put on TechDirt stories, they were pulling Google ads from that page. And that's, in fact, what happened. It's not how NBC presented it, Mike says. NBC's coverage is weird in its own way. It took a report from a UK-based operation that put together a blacklist of websites it said should be defunded for racist fake news. And NBC reporters took this report, reached out to Google to ask about these pages. That set off Google's review process. And the recognition that some of the comments on the pages violated Google's ad policies on dangerous and derogatory content. Those pages. So, as it does, Google alerted the Federalist and warned if it wasn't corrected, ads were removed from that page. Google says Zero Hedge's page is already gone through this process. So, it was reviewed for dangerous and derogatory content, and Google worked with them. And it was never more than a page. It was never the entire site. The Federalist was never demonetized after Google
But
talks to
now
them.
we've got a culture war occurring around
Yes.
the platforms.
Yes.
And it's going to get worse and worse.
We've
in
already
the
had
230
that
stuff.
forever.
The National Review, as an example,
It's
Charles
worse.
Cook wrote, "Is Google stupid?" And this comes down to a debate, really more important debate. So this is a story that got misreported and then became part of a larger war about, is Silicon Valley anti-conservative? But that's not the big debate. The real big debate, it's related to that, is the Section 230 issue.
So under government, we've got a three-prong attack on 230 and the platforms. The White House with his executive order. Now Barr is going to go after them directly.
DOJ
and
says it will
then,
investigate. White House asked FCC also to weigh in.
and then Hawley has a bill saying that they could be sued for, quote unquote, censoring political speech, which I just tweeted. Can you read the First Amendment?
Yeah.
Wait.
So
How far off are we from a Sedition Act, do you think?
Well, there's a case it's a good question, Stacey. There's a case in Italy that I fear. Did we talk about this before? The Italian case? I don't think we did.
No, go ahead.
I wasn't here last week, so I don't know.
All right. Well, it was the week before last. So, and you're younger and have more memory than we have, so I trust you. So there was a case where there was a Italian fascist site, and they got a lot of experience with that there, that Facebook took down, and courts at two levels have now ordered Facebook to put it back, which is compelled speech, which is another form of lack of freedom of expression. To imagine compelling The Guardian to run a Brexit piece,
right.
Compelling Facebook to have to put back up a fascist page, which they took down because it violated for once they took something down, their standards of community standards. And that's where I think we go, Stacey. And then we had the rather ludicrous response of Zuckerberg to Biden. Is that in the rundown? I think it is.
Yeah, we're going to
put that in there.
We're going to get to that.
Okay, but so I think what you get is you get the chill. Do you get the law in this country? Well, if Hawley manages to pass a bill, which I don't think he'll manage to pass,
that won't happen. That's just grandstanding.
It is, but and it wouldn't survive
Congress
in court.
is not going to pass anything.
Because they just don't.
The name of the act, which is hysterical, is Limiting Section 230 Immunity to Good Samaritans Act. I do hope that in the actual bill, Good Samaritans is not apostrophized. But if it is, it gives a whole new meaning to the name of the bill. So who knows? No, that was just CNBC's.
We found one honest man, one good Samaritan.
Yeah, CNBC's typo. It would allow Americans to sue tech companies that censor political speech or hide content from competitors. And really, the upshot of this would be just mass. It's so funny because Republicans for years have invaded against the trial lawyers and have really wanted to limit these kinds of lawsuits. And this would be a bill that would basically turn on the tap for a million lawsuits. And it, for anything you just didn't like, it's like, okay. So yeah, this is, I think, a non-starter. It's co-sponsored by Marco Rubio of Florida, Mike Braun of Indiana, and our favorite Tom Cotton of Arkansas. You have to promise in your terms of service to operate in good faith. I promise. I want to just get on record here. I promise to operate in good faith from now on.
But Leo, it's like the law that is being contemplated in the UK out of the harms report, where you're to operate with a duty of care, and no definition of what that is, and no definition of what the harm is. You just will know it when you see it. And you have to operate with duty of care.
Anybody who thinks I am not operating in good faith can now sue me for not operating in good faith.
Yes.
Well, there's a couple of reasons for that sort of vague language. One is it's very hard to articulate and write a law that's flexible around these things, right? Yeah. And we've decided that we really value super flexibility because, and rightly or wrongly, when you put things as specifics, you do tend to miss edge cases and have other consequences that then have to be worked out.
But vague laws, Stacey, right, aren't
vague laws are
vagary in a law is not, I don't want to say constitutional, but not good law, right?
Right. So what happens? It can be good law. So that's usually what you have when you include those phrases. You include things like that is not limited to or constrained by, and then a list. And what happens is outliers and the edge cases then go to the courts. When you don't have any sort of guidance as part of the law, though, it then becomes much more difficult. It's either the courts or the regulatory agencies. So having seen this, and both of those things are a problem because, one, it makes it take a long time. A regulatory fight is going to last for 2 to 3 years. And then there are inevitable lawsuits after that, or a lawsuit can take just as long or longer. And so really, we're just kind of hosed in terms of trying to get things. It's hard to pass good laws, and it's become much more difficult in the last probably 30 years. So.
We've also pointed out that a vague law like that, tech companies are going to err on the side of censoring everything. So
yes,
I don't know.
There's two unintended consequences: more lawsuits and more censorship. So I don't think this is really what this is supposed to accomplish, but that's what it's going to happen.
I think a big tech company would actually come out and find a case and fight it with that case. That's usually how these things go. They don't self-censor. They're big enough industries. You see this happen in telecoms all the time. They get a law they don't like. They instantly break it so they can test it in the courts. So now it will hurt smaller businesses in the meantime. But
remember,
smaller publishers.
Remember, it's a 3-pronged attack. So there's this bill, which won't pass, but that's one. There's the DOJ. Mark Lemley tweets the DOJ net censorship proposal, quote, and this is a joke: "You are both required to take down bad stuff on your sites and forbidden to take down bad stuff on your sites." This came out right after Hawley's bill, incentivizing online platforms to address illicit content. And I don't want to read. There's also, by the way, a bad Samaritan carve-out in this. There's something about the Samaritans.
What is a bad Samaritan?
It's the opposite of a good Samaritan. First of all, the DOJ proposes denying Section 230 immunity to truly bad actors. The title of Section 230's immunity provision, Protection for Good Samaritan Blocking and Screening of Offensive Material, makes clear Section 230 immunity is meant to incentivize and protect responsible online platforms. It makes little sense to immunize from civil liability an online platform that purposely facilitates or solicits third-party content or activity that would violate federal criminal law. Now, I'm starting to sound like...
So there's a Twitter account, which I recommend you go to now, called Bad 230 Takes.
Oh, boy.
And it's nothing but, Jeff Kossoff, who wrote the magnificent book, The 26 Words That Created the Internet, which is a wonderful book about 230. It's the definitive book. He tears his hair out with people getting these things wrong all the time. And then today in a discussion, somebody said, "Oh, did you know there's this account?" And it's a little detailed to get into. It's not kind of knee slappers, but for people who are Section 230 geeks, it is a collection of stupidity.
And if anybody, and it looks like it comes from the EFF because they're using the EFF's graphic on CDA 230, the Communications Decency Act, Section 230. So, yeah. The DOJ says the entire setup of 230 should be changed. Third, the department supports reforms that make clear that Section 230 immunity does not apply in a specific case where a platform had actual knowledge or notice that the third-party issue violated criminal law, federal criminal law. You know, and actually, if it can be proven to violate criminal law, well, okay. Or where the platform was provided with a court judgment that content is unlawful in any respect. Why is it bad that the sites should not be able to leave content up that violates federal law?
Well, no, they don't. Right now, they don't. That's already the law. It's they leave. You don't leave up if it's child pornography, if it's terrorism, that's already taken care of. And the platforms don't want it there, and they do take it down. And it is a law to take it down because it is illegal. We have very few things that are illegal in this country, but in France and in Germany, you can't leave up Nazi stuff.
Right.
That is against the law, and they take it down. They follow local laws. There's nothing new in that. That's just, as you say, grandstanding to say, they leave up illegal stuff. No, they don't. But back to the discussion with Stacey, one, I think, need be really careful about the notion of illegal speech. And I would say that one should err on the side of making very little speech illegal. But if you do, you've got to be explicit in definition.
Well, these are platforms, so
here's my biggest concern is that you get the same situation with this that you have with the DMCA. And that's the chilling effect of this. You know, we get stuff taken down all the time, which we can quite reasonably defend under fair use and other things. But because YouTube is so nervous about the DMCA, they just take it down, take it down, take it down.
Right.
And that's exactly what would happen here. I mean, nobody's going to argue that, you know, you shouldn't allow illegal, you know, things on Twitter. But what will happen is the minute anybody complains about anything, you'll have a, you know, Section 230 takedown rule. And you'll start getting these automated content takedowns on Facebook and Twitter as well. And if I were them, I wouldn't like this because they just don't want to risk the liability of getting sued. But then, I mean, that means anybody doesn't like anything, they're going to ask you to take it down. They're going to say, I think this violates, you know, the Good Samaritans Act.
That's what's happened in Germany with Netz.de, the hate speech law, is that there's been overage of takedowns. Because platforms are play safe.
It is a very good analysis of this, again, from Mike Masnick on Tech Dirt on the Justice Department's. He calls them preposterous recommendations on 230. The problem is, and Mike has been so good on Section 230, I would suggest reading everything he's ever written on it. And the problem is that it's very difficult to really understand what 230 does and doesn't do. And it's even more difficult to understand why these proposals are problematic. I mean, on the surface of it, sounds like, well, what? Yeah, the DOJ is saying you're not allowed to have federally illegal stuff on content on your site. Well, that seems like that's all right, but it's kind of more subtle than that.
Yeah.
It's always more subtle than that.
Yeah.
You should have Mike Masnick come on and talk about this.
I should. I think we tried. Carson, let's get Mike Masnick on. I would love to get him on. He has his own podcast as well.
He's very smart.
Yeah, he's really, really good. If I could give him money, I would give him money.
I gave him money when he was fighting his lawsuit.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes, that was a good cause, and he won, thank God.
It was indeed.
Yeah.
He was getting sued by somebody who claimed he had invented email, and Masnick quite accurately said, you invented email. It completely predates. Uh-oh.
Sorry.
Is the mail carrier?
We're going to sue the dog.
I don't know what just happened there.
No, I don't mind. Okay. I like it. A little barking.
I do. My heart just stopped.
Yeah, but that's because the dog's right next to you. From a distance, it was amusing. Yeah, I mean, what's really ironic is all of this stems from the president's fit of pique that Twitter would dare suggest anything he said wasn't accurate. Meanwhile, every other journal in the world is publishing the stories 16,000 lies and counting and things like that, which he, can manage to ignore. But as soon as Twitter said, you might want to think about, whether email voting is dangerous, he went ballistic, and when the shooting starts, he went ballistic. And now that's why we have all of this. This is all at the president's behest.
Well, and he also, Twitter is his platform. I'm sure he's offended in part because, it's like someone coming into your house and saying, you lying person.
There is a little problem right there, right? Twitter is the president's house, man.
Well,
don't you be messing with the president in the president's house. Not my house. No, I agree with you 100%. It's fascinating. Josh Hawley, the DOJ, and the FCC are really all doing his bidding. That's clear. Whether this will amount to anything, I don't know.
Well, but it has an effect, because the left scream, take down this bad stuff. And then they say, okay, they take down some bad stuff. And then the right says, that was my stuff.
Right.
And that's where we are. And so, I'm surprised they're not going to pass a law requiring Facebook to say Merry Christmas at Christmas time.
Yeah. Well, that's coming.
It's that kind of absurdity of the war on Christmas time stuff.
Yeah.
But it's going to have an impact. Again, you don't want to get ahead of it quite yet, but I think the Facebook, and I'll defend Facebook and its rights and so on, but I think I've been very critical of them lately because they don't have a North Star, and their response to Biden was ludicrous.
On the
we
other
can't
hand,
do that.
Facebook has done two good things, I think. So let's take a break, and I will come back and tell you what Facebook has done that I'm happy about. How about that?
So listen to this. Jeff's critical of Facebook. Leo is praising Facebook.
What the hell is going on?
What could this be? Stacey's just shaking her head.
What the
Stacey's just saying, what happened while I was gone?
What the heck is going on?
Last week, Stacey, we said that we'd solved the Facebook problem, and so we wanted to alert you that we had. In fact, we had agreement last week. Yeah,
that's just because
after the break,
there. You can't disagree.
Yeah,
with
Ant.
Ant.
It's when Ant's
Ant
there.
is the great peacemaker.
He
Yes,
really
he is.
He is. In fact, I think we're going to have Ant back on the show on a regular basis. I haven't figured quite out all the details of that, but he was so great.
You can call him right
week.
now, and I'll go take a nap.
No,
because we're talking about things that I'm like, oh man,
what do you want to talk
argue about this today?
No, we're done.
She was talking about little chips.
I do have to say. Okay, I'll say one more thing, and then we're done. Just to annoy Stacey.
It's not annoying. I'm just like, I have so little to contribute here.
No,
I don't know.
I don't either. I feel like that's why this is the perfect issue for a certain type of politician, which is an issue that is fairly nuanced and complicated, but can be easily misrepresented with something everybody understands. So,
yes.
You see what I'm saying? So it's really perfect because you can say something like, well, all we want to do is ban illegal speech. And all of the nuances get buried because you want to say something everybody can understand, that everybody who's watching TV can get in a little soundbite and go, yeah, well, I'm for it. And you see this all the time. And the problem is that a lot of the problems in this modern, complicated world are very nuanced and complicated and interrelated. And frankly, I'm stymied by them.
Screw nuance. Let's go to the commercial.
It's a lot easier. Honestly, and I know this because as a mainstream broadcaster for 40 years, there's intense pressure. If you want to be successful, the best way to be successful is to misrepresent complex subjects as simple ones, so that simpletons can understand it and agree with you.
So you can get them riled up.
And that's really what happened to radio. That's all you hear now on forget radio, on TV and radio, on mainstream broadcasting.
I think people actually want the nuanced stuff explained to them, but it takes so much effort. And I think journalism today does not allow you to build up that expertise and the time to do that. Because I was tempted to agree with you, because sometimes I wrote these like really esoteric stories, like when I would talk about like the devil in details posts is what I called them.
Right.
And those those actually, unless if people actually cared about the issue, because, I care about things a lot of people don't care about, but if people cared about the issue, they really appreciated the fact that I explained the nuanced cases on both sides. They also, though, wanted me to tell them where they should stand.
Right.
So, like with net neutrality, I would be like, this is why the carriers are arguing with it. This is why the current rules of the FCC aren't really awesome for people who create content on the internet, but they are good for Google. And carriers are like sort of hating parts of it. But, at the end, I had to say something like, but carriers are evil and they want to shut down the internet. But if you explained everything, they did that, but they also wanted your perspective. And that's really hard to do when you could just say, screw it, carriers are evil. And enough people would click on that, it'd be fine.
Yeah. They don't want you to make them think. They want you to tell them the answer.
They want you to think for them, but they're smart enough. Not everyone, but people do want to understand the issues. And so you can report and do nuanced stuff. You just have to tell people how to think afterwards. And
it's hard.
Some people are going to be like, I disagree with you, and that'll be fine too,
That's
as long as you represent the other side accurately.
Yeah, that's the truth. The problem is it's exhausting. Especially in our area, it's very exhausting because A, you have to have the expertise or gain it. You have to learn all about it, know it in and out to even explain it in a simple way. And then B, it's a lot of work, and it feels like it's a slog with every single story because you have to. Well, but wait a minute, it's not that simple.
Right.
And that's the kiss. And then of course in your back of your mind, I just lost 90% of the audience. It's like. There, goodbye. Wait, could you make it simple, please? But it's not that simple. No, but I don't care. It's what's the bottom line, please? Bottom line it for me. Well, it's not that simple.
Give it to me as a card.
Yeah, but that's human, and I don't. I don't want to. I don't want to know the ins and outs of bauxite mining either. I mean, it's just, there's certain things that you and I and anybody who listens to this network are willing to kind of delve into, and then there's some things that I don't have the patience to learn the rules of cricket.
I just got the 2-volume typographia here.
There's your problem.
I can tell you anything you want to know about Gutenberg.
Now, is that about typography or about printing?
This is about printing. It's the entirety of 1825.
Oh Lord.
2-volume, 1,000 pages about printing. I just spent the day writing about. Yes, I spent the day trying to understand exactly how pages were imposed on the forms. I can go into that, boy.
Actually,
I can beat you, Stacey, in terms of doing things that are boring. I can.
That is interesting.
You win, Jeff. You win.
I do. I had to take a piece of paper and put numbers on it and then cut it up to understand where the pages went when you print the form. I could go into detail from 1690 you wouldn't believe.
Were they paid by the word in the 18th and 19th centuries? Is that why?
I know it seems like
Charles Dickens was.
Dickens' stuff, yeah.
Dickens was.
He was serialized.
But even people's letters and things, the amount of effort it took to typeset, and they were verbose. You'd think it would be the opposite.
Yeah.
Whereas we now have all the space in the world, and we have Twitter.
Yeah. Well, there's a certain value to brevity, succinctness.
Being the soul of wit.
Yeah, maybe. Actually, that's true. The longer the joke, the worse the punchline. I think that is true. You know what? You said something, though, Jeff, that made me think. I do enjoy, and I will go deep on stuff that explains things we take for granted and why they are the way they are, like pagination. I think that's interesting. No. Like I
enjoy the hell out of that.
We walk around, we sleepwalk through life because, doing things because that's how you do them, and that's how they were always done. And I love finding out, well, actually, they weren't always done that way. The reason you do it this way is because, and it's usually something dopey, but we're not used to examining. You know why? There's limited brain cycles. And in order to avoid getting eaten by a tiger, we've really got to focus our attention on the stuff that keeps us from being eaten by a tiger. That's really fundamental. Otherwise, you're not going to survive if you look at the dust. What makes all that dust?
Speaking of tigers,
yes,
let's go to a break so we can learn about the two things that Facebook did right. Actually, that has nothing to do with tigers.
No, that's good, but it's
wrong and right.
Let's pay attention to what's happening.
You've learned, by the way, another vital skill in journalism that Professor Jarvis will never teach you. One is non sequiturs are fine. never explain. Just keep going.
Yes.
Speaking of tigers, let's hear about that Facebook thing. Is a perfectly good.
Yes.
If you hadn't said anything, everybody would go, yes, let's.
I don't think so. I think our audience is a little smarter than that. I'm giving y'all credit.
No. I live in non sequitur world. I'm in non sequitur land, and I like it. Our show today brought
There's
to you.
nothing worse. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, no.
There's nothing worse than having an editor say bad transition.
Yeah. Made sense to me at
it's
the
horrible.
time.
It's horrible. Yeah.
That means I got to go back to the typewriter. Our show today brought to you by Worldwide Technology. This is an example of somebody who, if you're in business, if you're an enterprise and you're dealing with enterprise technology, I guarantee you the boss, and probably a good few levels below the boss, does not want to hear the ins and outs, the pros, the cons, the pluses, and the minuses. They're very bottom line it for me. What technology, and here's my priorities. It's got to work. It's got to work with our existing stuff. It's got to be affordable. It's got to help us make money. It's got to help us be successful. It's very straightforward. Worldwide Technology is there to do all the nitty-gritty and to cut through to the stuff that's going to make you more successful. And that's why Worldwide Technology's partners and clients love them and have loved them for years. In fact, I know once you're a Worldwide Technology customer, you never leave. We talk a lot about all the different things Worldwide Tech does, but one of the things we learned when we went out to St. Louis a couple of months ago was they do apps. This portion of the show brought to you by Worldwide Technology and App Dynamics. Together, they deliver the application experience your customers, your users want, but that will transform your business. Great software can do that, it can change lives. And WWT is driven and this is like, what? You do that too? As a custom application and development company. They design with you. Actually, that's one of the things they do best. The best developers start really early talking to you about your specific business needs, thinking about how to approach the problems you face in new ways, and then create software solutions that make an impact. You want a company that doesn't mind getting deep, going to the nitty-gritty, but helps you hit the bottom line. You want a company that focuses on exactly what you want in your app, the specifications you must have, and then makes it happen. Their team has the resources, the platforms, the skills, the systems. By the way, if anything, I would say WWT is a great systems company. They really make an effort from top to bottom in understanding how systems work and what makes them work better. And with 2 decades of experience, they have a proven track record that can really help you succeed. For instance, and I actually saw this app. I don't think I can tell you the company, but it was a healthcare organization. And now that's a problem, right? That's hard for a lot of companies because there's all sorts of legal requirements, HIPAA and so forth. The healthcare organization wanted to connect medical teams from their care center to patients at home. And they explained exactly what they were trying to do. WWT created a custom software app where the care teams could interface directly with the patients. And the results are mind-blowing. 50% reduction in preventable readmissions for their engagement at home patients. 50%. 35% fewer days spent in the hospital with virtual care. They could stay at home. And you know what? Your patients really want to stay at home. I know I do. 60% fewer septic shock deaths occurred in patients being treated remotely, all because of this app. There is a rental car company they worked with. Again, no names, but they produced a mobile app that provided an improved customer car rental experience. The app let customers make reservations, perform check-ins and returns without waiting in line. Just boom. And you could see how much of a difference that would make. They worked with a grocery retailer to improve their customer experience. And it starts at the beginning through ideation and then innovation and then creative work. WWT improved this retailer's customer experience. They hit their 2- and 3-year goals in less than a year. And boy, you know what? When COVID hit, they were really glad they had this app. You want your customers to use your app. You want them to love your app. Put something in their hands that exceeds their expectations, and that's how WWT does it. And they do it with systems. They're brilliant in this way. They have their agile software development, which really works from planning to ideation to delivery, because it's a feedback loop with the customer. And so you get closer and closer and closer and closer and closer till you reach perfection. Agile's brilliant. They do the DevOps model. They understand it. That they drive business outcomes by evaluating, designing, implementing, and operating with tools to enhance your operational efficiency. They also, the latest, hottest thing, we're going to actually talk about this in a little bit, containers. They rapidly create services that can scale and perform by designing, architecting, and implementing cloud-native apps in an agile fashion in the cloud in containers, among other things. They really, I tell you what, you got to check them out. wwt.com/twit1. And you can also learn about the Advanced Technology Center, which is mind-boggling. This is a company. If actually, now that I think about it, from top to bottom, they do executive training. They really are thinking about the systems that lead to success, and they think very deeply about this stuff. wwt.com/twit1. Let those systems help your business. Worldwide technology, delivering business outcomes and modernizing IT infrastructure all over the world. So I will tell you about the tiger in your tank. The two things Facebook did. Number one, they announced today they're going to let, and remember we said if you had Mark Zuckerberg at a dinner party and you could say, and he would do it, one thing he would say to fix Facebook, and I said, yes, stop taking political ads. And Jeff, you raised a reasonable issue, which is, well, that's one way that, unknown candidates get a chance to be heard. Facebook and Instagram have announced they're going to let U.S. users block political ads. You just, I presume, just flip a switch. He wrote, I don't know, did you read the editorial in the USA Today? It'll roll out to some users now, all users in the next few weeks. And by the way, it's not just politicians, but PACs as well. And at the same time as they're doing that, they are going to launch, and we know this from the last election, Facebook had a huge impact on voting registration. They are going to launch a big voter information center that they say, and I'll have to see what they do, but they say will give millions of people accurate information about voting, tell them where their ballot box is, and help them register. Their goal is to register 4 million voters using Facebook, Instagram, and Messenger, and then help them get to the polls. This could make a huge difference. Tell me why I'm wrong, Jeff Jarvis.
Depends on, well, it bothers me that we think that, and this is a commentary not on Facebook, but if we think that pulling away from the civic dialogue is something desirable, that's a larger problem with society. Second, what's a political ad? I'm guaranteed there's going to be knickers and knots over that. Because if I put up an ad saying, come to my pro-environment rally, is that going to be taken down? How chicken
well, just to be clear, you can post that.
Yeah, but if everybody says no to
say
it,
that,
like it can buy the ad, but you can turn it off. You, Leo Laporte, slug.
No, I'm just saying that this is advertising, not content. So you can
understood.
And people already have the ability to turn off ads. Like I buy the more expensive Hulu, so I don't have to sit through ads. Some people buy YouTube to avoid it. So I don't see why.
Specifically political ads?
All ads, but especially political ads.
But I'm saying to separate political ads from other ads.
We had the fairness doctrine forever, which recognized that politics, and not just, that wasn't advertising, but politics are politics are not a product, or they shouldn't be a product. And we've turned them into a product, and that's a problem. So I would say politics can be a separate category, and I am fine with that because you should not make as casual a decision about the people who run your country as you do about what brand of toilet paper you want to buy. But that's just me.
I just think that it says something bad about our nation that to be engaged in the political debate is now seen as a bad thing. And that's the reality. That's where we are. But
it's not saying it's a bad thing. It's just saying that the reality is there is so much overt manipulation tied to these platforms. And these platforms do distort the political process. And we have to solve that. Is it sad that we have to do this? Sure. But we can't just be like, I wish I lived in a world where everything was rainbows and sunshine. But we don't. So we're just going to have to deal with it. Ooh, that felt really bitchy. Sorry.
No, it didn't. That was right on. I think that I understand, and it is in a way it's throwing up in your hands and saying, "Yeah, well, we can't fix it, so we're just going to block it." You still have speech. You still can post what you want as an individual.
For sure.
You just can't buy an ad. And
you can buy it. You can buy it,
but some people can block it.
You can block it. Yeah, just to get it.
And what remains to be seen is how difficult that is. And of course, everybody knows the tyranny of the default, and no one more than Mark Zuckerberg, that 99% of Facebook users won't flip that switch.
And the amount of money that they lose from it is de minimis.
Yeah, but I think it's so. To me, this is an acknowledgement that yes, these ads are a problem. And he's getting hit on both sides. I mean, Joe Biden's buying ads saying, Facebook, you're stupid. And you know, I mean, it's getting hit from both sides. So just no political ads. I continue to say they should just ban them all, but at least giving users the right to turn it off. And then I think the next step is for everybody to remind everybody how to do that. I think there's a lot of people. I'm not on Facebook. I don't want to see anything on Facebook. My way of getting rid of all the ads on Facebook and also all the background noise on Facebook is not by being a member. And I tried. I really did. I stuck it out for 3 months.
I'm not there, so
yeah,
I'm fine with that.
I tried. I came back when the virus hit. I thought, well, I'm going to use Facebook as it was intended to stay in touch with family and friends, see that they're all doing well and so forth. It did not help me with that. It just made me upset every single time.
Again, I still don't understand how that works, just because I don't follow a-holes.
I don't follow a-holes. I only added people as friends. Feed. I only added people as friends that I know in real life. A lot of listeners and fans and other people, even people I haven't seen in 20 years, when they saw me back on Facebook, tried to friend me, and I apologize to all of you, but I said, no, only the people I have that I wanted to keep in touch with to find out how they were doing. Didn't matter. Maybe I have bad friends.
Yeah, you must, because I really, honestly, I'm involved with people who are controversial.
Maybe you have normal friends. I mean, I have
normal friends.
I have friends who I added from back in high school, and some of them, they're crazy. And I quickly realized that and was like, oh, well, I don't need this person in my life anymore. Also, people can be kind of nostalgic about their friends. I don't know why.
Do we agree that the voter information center is a good thing? We must agree on that, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, but the problem there, you know what's going to happen there? They're going to push you being able to vote by mail, and then guess who's going to say that that's awful? And then there's going to be a fight over that, and we're going to be back in another cultural war over postage stamps and voting by mail.
Well, and I should point out,
we're in a culture war about masks. So you know what? We are at the most ridiculous point.
We are in a culture, and by the way, that's exactly Donald J. Trump's
that's where he wants
strategy.
And media is such an idiot to play along.
Well, it's not. It's just natural. And you know what? If you're a reality show, I'm watching a reality show. I've never seen a reality show before, including The Apprentice. But I'm watching a really dumb one called Below Deck that's about yachting and the service personnel on big charter yachts. And it's actually, I can't stop watching. Lisa and I like binging them. But I understand the whole idea.
What channel is that on?
It's Bravo. The whole thing. The whole thing about reality shows is strife is good. Conflict is good. That's what gets your attention, keeps you watching. I got to see what happens next. And boy, did Donald Trump learn that from Mark Burnett when he did The Apprentice. You want to own the news cycle, keep people fighting. And every time the fire starts to die down, throw in another piece of kindling. And
then I'll fight.
Masterfully adept at that. We all get suckered into it. And that's what's brought us to we are so polarized, and people say, "Oh, we're polarized. We got to stop that." But I don't think it's the natural state. I think we've been fed that, and not just from President Trump, but everybody's fed into that now. And Twitter hasn't helped, and Facebook hasn't helped.
No, I'm going to remind you. Without social media, we wouldn't have Black Lives Matter. We wouldn't have had the 17-year-old girl who shot the video of George Floyd. Let us remember that these are voices who were not heard in mainstream mass media run by old white guys like me.
I agree 100%.
And walking away from social media means you're walking away from voices who have not been heard in big old mass media. And I say that as three white people sitting here.
Well, and the good news is mass media is over. So
you can still find those voices.
Absolutely.
And I mean, people will still be on Twitter and on Facebook. We're not saying these things go away. We're just saying that you don't have to talk about politics, or you don't have to actually.
Can, and there's podcasts, and there's.
No, but
YouTube.
I'm saying if you quit Twitter and you quit Facebook, you're also leaving behind.
I don't think that's true.
Most people get their news from Instagram now anyway, Jeff. Come on.
Well, if you quit social media.
I think quitting social media is the single best thing you can do for your mental.
I think that's a privileged position.
No, because the New York Times, CNN, all these places are now trolling social media for their stories. So I think
for a very limited, skewed view of the world.
If you want to improve your mental health, also give up your 24-hour news channels, because those are exactly driven by conflict as well. Television is in general. That's the
television's
problem.
Worse.
That's what I'm saying. We have optimized.
It's worse.
We have optimized for engagement, and in every case where we have optimized for engagement, the discourse has been destroyed. Our minds are turned to mush, and we end up hating each other. It's just the way
it is. a mission. After I did my COVID Twitter list with 600 epidemiologists, virologists, et cetera, I have now, in recent weeks, been making my mission to find more African-American voices on Twitter, and I find it spectacular. I'm getting perspectives that I did not have before.
One
and
could
I'm learning
go out
things,
and
I'm
talk to
people.
some actual African-Americans.
We're not allowed to go out and talk to anybody right now.
All right.
And this is what people choose to say. Not that I have to go out and say, hey, educate me. This is what they choose to say. All right, now can I criticize Facebook?
Yes, please.
The Biden story pissed me off. So a lot of us have been trying to push Facebook to take some kind of action around the Trump stuff and to find its North Star. And then Facebook, Biden goes after them, which Biden's also going after Section 230. So there's a problem right there. I do have my Joe hat, but I'm pissed at him about that. But then, no, I don't want to subscribe now. And then, so Facebook's response was, we can't do that because the president issued an executive order. That's BS.
Oh, boy,
At least have the courage to stand up.
The executive order, which has no teeth, makes no law, is in fact
no force of law to it. That was such BS, panty waist crap. And I, who will defend the platforms because I'm defending the internet and all that, BS, Facebook. Come on. Come on. Don't treat us like idiots.
That is actually
pissed me off.
Facebook historically has turned to very Republican lawmakers, even during Obama's administration. So I think they're just as kind of a super Republican-leaning effort, like at the leadership level.
I don't think they're Republican-leaning. I think they're scared. I think this is an indication, Stacey, that they don't have a spine. Is the issue.
I've always said they're not immoral; they are amoral.
They're amoral.
They don't have a guiding principle or North Star other than maximizing engagement and ultimately maximizing revenue.
Well, and staying out of trouble. In this case, the real context here is staying out of political trouble.
Right.
Staying out of the inconvenience of that. That's what they're trying to do. And in doing so, they only dig themselves deeper. So anyway, I just wanted to be on the record there. And by the way, full disclosure is that Facebook donated money to my school to do projects on disinformation, mainly outside the school. I received nothing personally from any of the platforms. End of disclosure. Meanwhile,
got a sticker from Google.
I've given Google lots of money for Pixel books and Pixel phones.
Oh, have I ever? I'll give them more money for a Pixel book. They'll just make it.
I've even given Facebook money for portals. Am I making?
Twitter audio clips?
No,
I want to
do
make one.
that?
I'm not part of the test. I really want that.
Well, no,
I love
it's
talking.
iOS, Stacey. It's iOS. They left out Android.
Well, a pox on their heads.
Under Twitter, if you go to the Better Yet, so you can do it. Okay, so Leo, let's see you make an audio clip.
Can I say,
Radio
can I
guy.
make the audio be, fuck you, Jeff Jarvis?
Hey, no, not again. that depressed so many people.
Okay. I can't do that. So I'm in the official Bluebird app, and I press the tweet button.
I don't know, because I'm Android, so I don't know.
Oh, and you have to do it in iOS. What if you're on the web?
I don't see a record audio. But well, maybe,
I think it's only to select users, I thought.
Oh, is it? Oh, Cardi B is a select user. There's 3 examples.
of course, Cardi
on
B.
the rundown.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
My favorite is the one that I put in there labeled "Better Yet." It's my favorite one.
Is that one safe for?
I think it might have a bad word in it to edit out. But
Okay, I don't care. Better yet.
I said a bad word. I'm sorry, Carson.
No, I already just said the worst bad word. Okay, here it is. Get my audio, baby. You're not.
Right, so to clarify, Twitter's given us voice notes for the timeline, but not for the DMs, which is where I absolutely wanted it. I don't want it on the timeline. I don't want to hear anybody else's voice. I want voice notes in the DMs. What is this?
That's called conflict,
Right, so to
and it's
clarify,
good for
Twitter's given us
engagement.
voice notes for the timeline, but not for the
That's
DMs,
what that
which
is.
where I-
Cardi B. Here we go.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Oh, my God. What the is this?
Sorry, did it again.
I just woke up. I know it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Oh, my God. What is this?
So you think this is
my
going to save
God.
civilization,
Oh, my God.
No,
Jeff?
definitely not.
This social media, it's got a big future. You think it's?
But it's like the political ad thing. You don't have to listen.
We're hearing
don't have to
voices
listen.
from all kinds of people.
You could just choose to let it go by, and you don't have to. You have to click the play to listen.
Well,
next year,
finally,
make it all-
Twitter has got audio clip features. And I was only talking about this the other week. Jesus, what's going on over at Twitter?
Okay,
Anyway,
will every
new
one of them
feature,
have
Twitter audio
profanity? Will every single one? Yes. Yes.
Yes.
It absolutely
Mine would
will.
not. Had they given me, you would have heard, OMG, y'all. We got a new chip for NVIDIA.
All right. Let me see here how we do it. Let me see how we do it.
You have to update your app or something, or
There is a new big button that I don't have. This is a new user interface. Let me see if my app is updated. Because if anybody should have audio besides our Cardi B, it would be yours truly, the professional radio announcer. Yes, there is an update. We've made some improvements. Let's see. I'm going to update my Twitter right now. Hello. I want to do it like that. Hello, America.
yeah, do your full radio voice.
Do a radio voice. Let's see if I can do it. Here we go. Let's see. I'm opening up my Twitter tweet here. No, don't have any special buttons or nothing.
No.
No.
Man, you got your voice ready and
you guys
everything.
have this thing, this bar here, that's got a big button for pictures, and it's got other people's stuff, and
The
I don't
heck
have
is all of
that.
that?
I don't know. I don't have that. No, so
I do not have that.
that's all right. I don't really. I can.
All right.
Course,
Well,
mine's in
exciting.
dark mode, so it doesn't look like that at all.
Yeah, I don't know why mine is not.
Oh,
in dark mode.
Stacey.
That was just a mistake. Jeff
Dark
must have
mode,
gotten
yes,
my
it was.
phode. I still don't understand what you have against dark mode.
Gives me the creeps.
Gives me the creeps. It's so
The
dark.
creeps.
It's like
Yeah,
putting
now-
Microsoft things on my Chromebook.
Now you made me unhappy, Jeff. Now I want it.
You'll get it eventually.
No, Twitter
Maybe.
does a lot of stuff I don't ever get.
Well,
Don't
I know
you
you
notice
complain
that?
about them.
Don't you notice? No, it's not that. It's just, I just think that they do a lot of experiments that they don't roll out.
that's okay. That's
Steve
the point
Kovac
of
has 684 listens on his.
Who does?
Steve Kovac. So yes, so I'm seeing them in my timeline. But that's interesting. So Twitter has been branded a propaganda machine by Turkey.
that scans.
That's maybe because they removed 32,000 plus accounts engaged in propaganda linked to Russia, China, and Turkey, saying they were state-linked information operations. This was a story. I don't know why. I thought Steve Gibson would cover this. I thought everybody would be talking
Ripple
about
20?
this.
Oh, no.
What? What's Herbal
Never
20?
mind. We'll
Elite
talk about it
CIA
later.
unit that developed hacking tools, failed to secure its own systems, allowing massive leaks. This is according to an internal report prepared for Mike Pompeo back when he was director CIA, and Gina Haspel, who is now the director. The elite computer hackers at the CIA prioritized building cyber weapons at the expense of securing their own systems. This is the stuff that got leaked to WikiLeaks, the Vault 7 release. U.S. officials called it the biggest unauthorized disclosure of classified information in the CIA's history. And, important point, had the data been stolen for the benefit of a state adversary and not a publisher, we might still be unaware of the loss. So nice, really nice. By the way, that's Julian Assange's father there in front of the microphones. Yeah, looks. There's Julian. He's letting his dad do the talking.
Yeah.
CIA moved too slowly to put in place the safeguards we knew were necessary, given successive breaches to other U.S. government agencies, the report said, finding most of our sensitive cyber weapons were not compartmented. Users shared systems, administrator-level passwords. Folks, if people in your company were sharing systems, administrative-level passwords amongst each other, wouldn't you worry? If they all had the same password, wouldn't you worry? There were no effective thumb drive controls. Anybody could stick one in. And historical data did. Historical data was available to users indefinitely. Any sensible company would have, even this is like the half-assed stuff. You'd think the CIA had really super secret stuff. The hacking tools were developed by the CIA's Center for Cyber Intelligence, but they were too busy working on that. I guess they didn't think they were under attack. I don't know. So there you go. Part of the problem was that the leak actually, we believe, happened because a guy who was, I think, a contractor took the hacking tools home with him. And, put a USB drive, copying him over. He has pleaded not guilty, so it's alleged, all alleged. But the thinking had been that he took them home and then he was running Kaspersky antivirus on the system that he put them on. The system, the Kaspersky correctly noted that there's a bunch of exploits in there and exfiltrated them to Russia, Kaspersky's home country, where the Russian Secret Service got access to them.
Oh, wow.
Wait. Is Kaspersky
that puts the nail
alleged
in the
to have...
coffin of...
Well, no one knows if Kaspersky did it on purpose, but one of the features of Kaspersky, like a lot of antiviruses, if it detects a virus, it quarantines it and then sends it to their servers for research. Because if it's a new virus, they want to be able to say... So it may not have been a bad thing. Okay. Well, it is a bad thing if, at the same time as you're doing that, you are either under the auspices of a Secret Service or compliant with a Secret Service. It's unclear.
No, I mean for Kaspersky.
Kaspersky has some people who are former Russian military officers working there. And, of course, the way the Russian state works, much like the Chinese state, it's very possible they just said, hey, what do you got? And they have to give it to them. So it's not clear whether they, intentionally did this or did it. But it's not even for sure that's what happened. But that's when this actually happened. That was the conventional wisdom. Nevertheless, you shouldn't, as a contractor, be able, and this is what Snowden did too, by the way, you shouldn't, and you would think after Snowden, who was doing it for the NSA, not the CIA, but the CIA would have looked over there and said, let's make sure that doesn't happen here.
Not on our watch.
That would be a bad thing. And, but no, you can bring in a USB drive, copy everything over, take it home, no problem. You'd think, let's see, let me quote this person accurately here. I want to get this person's name. You'd think these incidents would be a major wake-up call for the intelligence community and the entire American security establishment. but it appears the most powerful and best-funded intelligence agencies on the planet are unable to stop the bleeding of their own data. That's Thomas Rid. He's an information security professor at Johns Hopkins School of Advanced... I'm sorry, at Johns Hopkins Craig Newmark School of Advanced International Studies. I'll give you a freebie.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
Shh, I don't want him to give money to them.
He'll have to.
If he likes the sound of that.
But there is good news. There is good news. Apparently, WikiLeaks did not obtain even more sensitive information contained in a gold folder that included the final version of the hacking tools as well as source code. The gold folder stayed secure.
Was it an actual
Well, they could have.
folder?
We'll get to this in the rundown in the whatchamacallit, but they could have had one of those special Google folders where it's all encrypted. Then everything okay.
They needed the special Google gold folder.
Yeah, but we'll get to that in a few minutes.
We could get to it now if somebody would just play the trumpets.
The Google.
Oh, that was well timed. Good work.
Wow.
Good segue. Good timing.
Wow.
He was riding that button, man. That was right on it.
Thank you, Mr. Jay Brockman, also known as Jeff. Files by Google, which used to be the Files Go app, and this is another one of those where the XDA developers looked at the next version. They were able to look in the APK. According to XDA developers, there may be Google has not announced this yet, but they saw it in the UI, a safe folder to its file manager, and even had a little helpful informational thought bubble hovering over it. Move any files you want to keep protected by a pin to this folder. Now, this is not unusual. In fact, I use a cloud drive storage that does that. I think it's a really good idea. A pin, maybe I'd love more than a 4-digit pin. But see, that's pretty cool. So that is in the 1.0.315 version of Files by Google, but it's not apparently yet turned on. But maybe it'll be rolling out soon.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day we'll have a secret folder, or a gold folder, as it's known in McLean. Android developers blog, unwrapping Android 11 beta. They've been doing, I didn't know this, after the public, by the way, I installed the public beta, as you may remember last week, Jeff, on my Pixel 4, have had zero problems. It's been more reliable.
Oh, I made fun of you.
It's been better. It's been good. Scrolling.
The other one was bad?
Yeah, I was having trouble as usual with Android. After a while, it kind of it seems like it degrades a little bit in performance.
Well, you just complain about everything. Boy.
No, that's not an unusual experience with Android. But 11 on here seems to do a very good job. And what's cool is the Android developers have been putting out daily, like, videos. They call it Unwrapping Android 11, in which they talk about features. So there are more. We're learning more and more about features. Is
this what they would have done at I/O?
Yeah, I'm guessing that's kind of
like
what
that?
they would have done. But they're dribbing and drabbing it out. So there's so many new features here, and I know most of you are probably not using 11 yet because it's a public beta. But this is something you might want to look at if you are using Android 11, because there's a ton of stuff. For instance, there is now an on-device visual cortex that understands.
What?
Oh, yeah. They got a brain in this thing. It's in the voice access for people who control their phone entirely by voice. The on-device visual cortex understands screen content and context and generates labels and access points for accessibility commands. So instead of just reading what's printed on the screen, it can actually understand what you're looking at. We're going to have bubbles in messaging. Okay, the new Bubbles API. Ooh. We're going to I'm just scratching the surface here. There's a lot of stuff. Permission.
So you like it?
Yeah, I love it.
Is there any particular feature that just makes you say, oh, screw iOS?
No.
No.
Especially now that I got that Twitter record feature. No siree. Actually, I had stopped using the Pixel 4 because it seemed a little unreliable, and it would like from once in a while it would just freeze for a few seconds or even longer. That seems to have gone away. So that's good news. That's good news. And the other thing they're doing, it's interesting, they're releasing more, either not only more information, but more features, it seems, over time. They're getting turned on, or there's a lot of stuff happening in Android 11. And I have to say, it's we're at peak phone at this point where you're not going to see any feature that you go, wow, every phone should have this. Although I have to say that the voice recording,
I was going to say the voice transcription. I'm actually really. Everyone should have this.
Yeah, that's the killer app.
Yeah.
Well, no, there's no such thing as killer apps. As we take computing in more places, we're just going to have individual things that appeal to people. The mass market, just like the mass market in media is dead, the mass is dead in computing.
Yay, Stacey! Yay, Stacey! Kill the mass! Death to the mass!
So if you go to developers.android.com/11 weeks of Android, this is week 1. There will be many, many more.
I'd be bored by 11.
That's a lot of them.
Yeah, this is not the ideal way to share this with people.
Well,
I guess as news media, our job is to watch all of them and just explain it to
and that's
people
what it is. And you'll see in the Android blogs, and we'll talk about things they'll become parts of the changelog. This is People and Identity Week. And there he is talking about people and identity. So apparently I have to think this is these are the tracks they might have done in Google I/O. That's kind of the explanation for it, I would say. They're also doing social distancing online meetups so that you can go. And this is actually good. Apple's going to do this too at WWDC. But the big things you get at a developers conference is the ability to sit down with the devs and say, hey, this feature's not working, or how do I use this? And they're going to do that with online meetups, as Apple is as well, to help people. And better yet, you'll be able to earn a badge. So if you view the pathway, you will earn a badge by completing a quiz. I don't know what you can do with a badge. But there
when did Google add quizzes for, like, if you Google something? I Googled like an Edward Hopper painting, and I suddenly was shunted to a place where I could take a fine arts quiz.
Oh,
have y'all ever been there?
No.
Yeah, it was totally. It was like 5 answers, and then it was like, "Do you want to level up?" And I was like, "I got nothing better to do. Sure,
I want to level up." Wow.
I just was curious. I was like, "Oh, I'll have to ask on the show."
You must be in the new Trivial Pursuit edition of Google.
Yeah, or something. The Google Games.
That's interesting. No, I haven't seen that. Has anybody in the chat room seen that? That's really cool. That's really cool. Here's one from our chat mod, who is very, very good at the Google. Google has a new shared piano experiment that lets you create music with friends. Would you like to share a piano?
No.
No, I don't know what to do with it.
Okay, me neither. Here, let's play some piano together.
Hey, I'm Bree, and I'm in Boston.
I'm in New Haven, Connecticut.
I'm in Queens, New York.
And I'm in Brooklyn. We're going to use this website called Shared Piano to play together live.
You don't need to download or install anything, or even make an account.
It's totally free, and anyone can use it. You just go to the site in your browser and start playing.
You can play on a MIDI keyboard.
And you can also play together on regular computer keyboards, which Bree and I will be doing, like this.
We all just open up the link and start playing together.
I'm the unicorn.
I'm the rabbit.
I'll be the octopus.
And I'm the dog, and I'll kick us off with the drums.
That's kind of cool.
Okay, yeah, that is cool.
That is cool.
It's a music lab.
I have now been sold thanks to the awesome video.
Experiments.
Yeah, okay. All right.
.com. Okay, you're going to play music with me?
No.
Okay, thanks a lot.
I can't play all I can play is When the Saints Go Marching In.
Okay, never mind. Never mind. That's cool. I think that's a cool feature, don't you?
Yeah, we admitted it. Jeff and I were like, oh, all right. Our lack of enthusiasm was wrong.
How would you like some meat in your Gmail?
I don't get this.
Corbin Davenport at Android Police's headline says it all. In a panic to beat Zoom, Gmail app will get full Google Meet integration.
What was wrong with the Google chat? That was great.
That was good. And you actually had voice and video calling in that too, didn't you?
Yeah. Why? I'm like, what is happening here? Because like
going back,
I've been a remote worker for decades, and we would just be like, you would IM people who were in Gmail. You know, you're in your email, you're working on stuff, and then you'd IM someone and you'd be like, dude, this is too complicated. Voice ? And then we'd go to voice
That's
or
such
video.
a good thing. That's a perfect way to do it, isn't it? Because sometimes chat's just not. And so, yeah, you just want to make a call. And if you're already there, you just do it. I see Lisa doing that a lot with our sales team because we use Slack. And she said, no, in fact, that's her, like, any more than 3 emails about a topic, and I imagine this extends to chat as well, we're going to make a phone call. It's like you just, cut to the chase. I don't like this idea at all, but I'm an old timer. They are experimenting with removing the full address from the URL bar.
Yeah, I hate it.
No.
Chrome. And this is in Canary 85. It just shows the domain. Apple did this with Safari. And when Apple did it, I thought, well, that's Apple thinks its users are idiots. But now Google does too. I have to say, I remember asking Tim Berners-Lee about this, http://www.google.com/? and all of that stuff. And he said, I never thought a human would ever see that. It was always intended to be machine readable and not human readable. So he never made any effort to hide that. And browsers for years have not.
The QCat.
Yeah, the QCat. Yeah. Yeah. That's so anyway. So this will again, Corbin Davenport with the headlines. Google resumes its senseless attack on the URL bar. Apple did this with Safari. There will be a way to stop it, to turn it off. But yeah, I like seeing the whole thing, and I think there's actually a good reason that you would want to for safety. Google Area 120 team has created a Pinterest clone, just what the world needs, called Tangy.
Why?
You can, if you're on Android. I know you're not. Maybe you are. Oh yeah, you are. you can get it in the Play Store. Just get yourself some Tangy.
But Pinterest is so good at what it does.
Oh, but we're not allowed to use Pinterest anymore because they're racists or something. I don't know. I can't keep track. Tangi. Yeah, I read some posts from a former Pinterest executive who said, yeah, not so good. Now, wait a minute. Here's Tangy Quick Videos. Is that what that's supposed to be? Tangy? That must be because it's from the Google Area 120 team. So maybe it's a video-focused thing.
Oh, well, that is different.
That's different, isn't it? Here's Tangy. Tangy. Try new ideas. Summer is here. Would you like some gelatin popsicles? Sure you would. And see, there's a video now. So it's Pinterest with videos.
Okay.
I think that's kind of cool.
That would work.
Yeah.
Prediction. Okay, let's do the death pool. How long before this is killed?
Oh, Google's going to kill it right away if it doesn't automatically generate a huge number of users or interesting stories. So I'd say probably 18 months.
Yeah, it's not fair to call this a Pinterest clone, to be honest, because it's better because it's video, but at the same time, it's going to be more work for you.
Is it a TikTok clone then?
Oh, that's interesting. Maybe Pinterest meets TikTok. This is somebody showing you how to throw a cereal bowl on a pottery wheel.
Oh, this could be part of that whole how-to thing. Like there is a need for a place to collect your how-to videos.
Yeah.
Like I know, like I have collecting a whole bunch right now because I've got to do so much for the house. So I'm like, how to build a screen. Okay.
Let's save that for later. How you do skeleton lettering on your painting.
Yeah, I don't care about skeleton lettering. What is skeleton lettering?
I don't know. If you want to watch the video, we can do it together.
That's all right.
I'm watching.
Next.
Rainbow painting, messy, free, sensory paint, ice cream. Let's make some ice cream.
Why didn't they just do this via YouTube?
Well, because it's a style. I think.
Yeah, you got to kind of upload a whole video and play it on YouTube. This is kind of just.
This takes a lot more production, though, if you ask me.
Oh.
Oh, that's neat. So here, this is an illustrator. Snow Bison. Sent her a picture. I don't know. Sent her a picture. She drew it. That's neat.
Well, you got bored so quickly, don't you?
I am. Well, that's what this is for. By the way, I've watched the youngs do TikTok and all that. It's quick. Here's how you make your own lava lamp with a little bit of canola oil and an unknown waxy substance. Oh, look at that. We're going to make a lava lamp. Oh, isn't that cool? Timmy made a mess. Now it's bubbling. Why is it so little? Okay, you can't even expand it. That's not good. So, yeah, I mean, obviously these have all been seeded by the Area 120 people and their friends. I have a feeling this is not going to take off just because it's just too much work. Here's a guy posting a piano solo.
Is he playing with the Google piano?
No, he's in Amsterdam. That's cool. I don't know. I'm glad I downloaded it. I'm sure I'll be opening that again someday.
You'll be complaining about it within 2 weeks.
I know.
It's ruining the world.
I like it. I don't think Tangy is going to ruin the world. That's the secret, is not to have two big monolithic social networks, but let 1,000 flowers bloom.
Except the 1,000 flowers are owned by 2 companies.
Well, that's what we got to make. Yeah, you're right. It should be easy to make a new social network. We have ours, twit.social. You ever go? No.
I have gone. I went more.
Did I forget about it? I gotta go.
Moving. I have.
By the way, how's that going?
Excuse for everything.
How's that going? When you're moving, you said in a couple of weeks.
10 days.
10 days, and is the house done? Is it ready? Is it move-inable? No.
No, it's just so much.
Do you have a contractor, or I mean, is it that much?
Oh yeah, I have a GC. Yeah, he's doing all the crazy stuff. But there's still like crazy stuff I've got to do. And
what's the craziest thing you had to do? Biggest, most hassle-filled.
Oh, I was like, well, the craziest thing, I don't know.
That'll be crazy.
We had to paint the entire downstairs. That was a lot. And then we're going to paint my office, so y'all will see that in a couple of weeks.
What color is the office going to be?
It is a very light pink.
Oh my, a bold statement.
No, it's very light. I'd normally go for bold, but it's light pink because it's the Benjamin Moore color of the year, actually.
Light pink?
Because it's going to look really good on camera. So when I'm like, today I'm all tired and kind of like, at least then I'll have the rosy glow of my walls making me look.
I did not know. I'm glad. I've been asking you to do this to stall while I download an app that I never heard about.
I figured there was a reason.
Yeah. Well, we're still in the changelog. There's an app I never heard about called Pixel Sounds. Did you know about that?
What does it do?
It's a sounds app. Apparently not available on my phone. I don't see it. Sound amplifier? Wow. Google, you need to work on this search on your Pixel Sounds app, Google. No.
Is it a ringtone company or a ringtone?
No, it's yes, it is, because according to 9 to 5 Google Pixel phones celebrate.
It's been around since 2018.
I never even heard of it. Pride Month with 16 new Sounds of Pride ringtones available in the Google Sounds app.
No. You can access it on a Pixel device by going to Settings, Sound, Phone Ringtones.
Okay. I was doing that while you were.
Oh.
Settings. Sound.
I don't even have that.
I don't have ringtone.
Oh, wait a minute. Way down. It's advanced.
Oh, there it is. Way down. Advanced.
Advanced. Okay. So here we go. So currently I have Crackle. I didn't even know that. But let's see. Sounds of Pride. What do you think the Sounds of Pride sound like?
What does Pride sound like?
What does Pride sounds like? Well, it sounds like Love and Troye Sivan, I'm So Tired. Here, let me play a little bit of this for you. I would if it would make any noise. Come on, make some sounds. Come on.
Do you have Do Not Disturb on?
Maybe. Oh, yeah, that's probably what it is. There it is. Thank you. You're so good at this. You should have a show.
No, I just do this all the time. I'm like, why don't you work?
So is this a good ringtone?
I'm so tired of love songs, tired of love songs, tired of love songs, tired of love. Just wanna go home, wanna go home, wanna go home.
I don't think so. How about this one? Doesn't a ringtone sound like something's ringing? That's good. See, that sounds like a ring. That's Perfume Genius on the floor. Here's Cakes Tequila, Free to Be.
You got me feeling so free to be. Just loving who I want, why they loving on me. Too much passion, chick to chick. Be with who you wanna be. Paint your love how you see.
I like that. That's my new ringtone. All right. So you'll find these. There's also Sienna Liggins, Looks Don't Lie, and Big Freedia, Chasing Rainbows featuring Kesha. All available on the Sounds of Pride collection. It's not an app. I guess these are all well-known members, according to 9 to 5 Google, of the LGBTQ community. Mm-hmm. And that's nice. It's the first time Google's included ringtones on Pixel phones from known musicians.
I was going to say, I think the most interesting part of that is the fact that these are actual songs because, I mean, I don't spend a lot of time on my ringtones because when my phone rings, I never answer it. So, but if I did care about ringtones, you know, I'd have to download something if I wanted a song for a particular person or something.
You can also, in the wallpaper, there are Pride wallpapers. So let me look at that. Google's always been really good about this with and Apple too, frankly. So let me see about celebrating Pride Month. Okay, display would be where wallpapers would be. And styles and wallpapers. Let's see if I can find some Pride wallpapers. That's exciting, isn't it?
Sorry, you guys. I'm so sorry.
Sorry, putting you right out.
No.
Oh, look at those are cool. Look, these are all rainbowy wallpapers. That's neat. That's pretty. I'm going to do that one. What? Which
I should
one?
not have looked at my phone. I just got an 11-page reopening plan for my daughter's school in the fall.
Oh, that's scary.
Oh, my. Oh,
look at that. That's pretty. That's nice.
Oh, that is nice.
Yeah. All right. And that, my nice friends, is the Google changelog. Adobe Flash dies on December 31st, 2020.
Really?
Yeah. They will stop allowing you to download it from Adobe's site. That's pretty much the end of the line.
So
how
when
many
will
pages
we stop
though, are
seeing
still
it
built
on?
with it?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's going to happen with my solitaire game?
MSNBC just only a few months ago finally got off of it for their site. It was just ridiculous.
Dude, if you're on a Google chat with someone, if you're on a video chat with someone to share. Oh, no. Okay. Hold on. I'm going to try to replicate this because I'm pretty sure.
I am a T-Mobile user, and I did not notice that the network.
Yes. Google makes it. Sorry.
Google makes.
We're going to talk about. So when I go to Google, if I am in Google
has Flash
chat. If I'm in chat and I hit the little thing to send a photo, if I do the web camera, like I want to make my own emoji of my face going like blah, I have to, when I hit web camera, it says unable to find Flash Player 10.1. Please install Flash Player.
Right.
No, stop it. Stop the insanity.
That's Google. Granted, it's chat, and Lord only knows they've got 6 other messaging things to focus on. But
the guy who did that left in 2016. Adobe's been trying to phase Flash out for 3 years now, but it finally is happening. Now, T-Mobile, and by the way, again, Mike Masnick had a great takedown of T-Mobile saying, this merger with Sprint they said, it won't be any problem. No problem at all. T-Mobile was down on Monday because they had a cascading failure. Was not, as some speculated, a DDoS attack. Their fiber went out, but then all the other stuff went out.
How did it affect me on an AT&T phone calling my son on a Verizon phone?
It shouldn't. Did it?
Seemed to have, yeah.
So there were
other things
initially the down detectors were reporting outages on AT&T, Verizon, and Sprint, but apparently that was not the case. On the other hand, if you were calling a T-Mobile number from Verizon, then you might have said, "Oh,
right,
something's not right." Yeah, but if you're calling a if there was no T-Mobile in your country, I don't know. It maybe that when the fiber went out, there was some speculation, and it's still not clear whether this was a third-party backbone that they were on or if it was a T-Mobile backbone. According to TechCrunch, although they had heard it was a level 3 outage, TechCrunch said no. They told us it wasn't. So it's unclear. But it was down. It was down. And you know who's miffed about it? Mr. Ajit Pai. Even Ajit Pai was angry. He tweeted, "The T-Mobile network outage is unacceptable. The FCC is launching an investigation." He's taking a page from Trump's handbook. "We're demanding answers. And so are American consumers." Wow. Mr. Pai.
Please.
Put down your Reese's peanut butter cup and get serious. So it was a misconfiguration error. Although we may not.
This happens.
Yeah, it happens. We may not know ever exactly what happened, but that's what T-Mobile is saying.
Well, and it may not be relevant what exactly happened. I mean, there are plenty of one-off weird configuration errors where you're like, oh, it's a cascading failure across our entire network. Crap.
Yeah, these things happen. The Internet Archive is closing the emergency library. We talked about the publishers were suing them over. And somebody is outraged that the Internet Archive, Brewster Kahle, is buying a Seattle record store that's going out of business.
Why are they outraged?
Because they're worried they're going to digitize all the records. So they bought this record store. It's actually an interesting story.
Which one is it?
It's going to be their great 78 project. They bought, I want to say Bob's. I can't remember the name. I'll have to get the name. But this is the Great 78 project to preserve these kind of weird recordings, many of them on 78 RPM vinyl or even harder things like shellac. So that this is our cultural heritage. It gets preserved. Let me see if I can find, though, the name of the store. I think it was in Seattle. Senator Tom Tillis seems really pissed off that the Internet Archive bought a record store. It was
Bop Street Records.
Not Bob's, Bop Street. That's it.
Bop Street.
In Seattle. They were going out of business. They had a huge collection, 500,000 sound recordings, 100 albums by Fats Waller, classical music, rock, R&B, jazz, country. And they were going out of business anyway. So the Internet Archive picked it up, and they're going to go through those records and see what should the 500,000 recordings and see what should be saved.
If you, I put in the rundown chat.
Senator Tillis, because he says he's sending him a letter, one of those famous letters from a senator. Mm-hmm. As I understand, top 5 record shop in the country, focuses collectible vinyl. Anyway, yes, he doesn't like them
US
digitize.
Copyright. Oh, okay.
Yeah, copyright.
Got it.
Doesn't want him to digitize stuff, even though you're really saving it. Your sound recording projects do not appear to comply with the relevant provisions of the Orrin Hatch Bob Goodlatte Music Modernization Act, which deals.
Orrin Hatch, a major music modernizer.
Yeah, deals only with pre-1972 sound recordings, would not allow for streaming or downloading. I think this actually was. Who was it? There was a group who was pissed off that because their records came out a long time ago, Spotify could just play them without ever paying them royalties, even though they were still under copyright. Anyway, this is a letter to Brewster Kahle from Senator.
So I put in the rundown chat a story from the Seattle Times with thus a picture of Bop Street Records. I don't know about you. Probably Stacey's too young for this, but I look at the picture. I can just smell the place.
I can smell it too because I used to work in a record store.
You did?
Oh yeah. Oh man, that was fun. Oh yeah, That's exactly where
Stacey's. It's old fart time.
I used to work at Odyssey Records in Santa Cruz. Looked exactly like that.
Yeah,
exactly. Without the boxes on the floor, obviously, it outpaced his ability to keep track of all the stuff he had. But a record store is a wonderful thing, and browsing through a record store is a wonderful thing. And I agree with Brewster Kahle and the Internet Archive. These are recordings that would be lost forever.
Yeah, he's doing a good deed.
So Dave Voorhees was the owner. He announced last month because partly he was going to close at the end of June, partly because of COVID-19. He didn't know what was going to happen to these 500,000 records that he had. And Brewster Kahle, who is, I think, a great guy. I love Brewster.
Yeah.
Decided to save it. And he's doing God's work. And of course, the Internet Archive has always skirted the edge of copyright. But that's what happens. Oh, Jeff, of course you like it. He looks just like you. And he's wearing a Flying Burrito Brothers T-shirt. Yeah. He's our generation. I think that's great. Kahle says, high school marching bands, soundtracks for foreign movies you've never heard of, those are just treasures.
Stacey, you are too young for record stores, aren't you?
I went to a Tower Records. The Tower Records closed my first or second year in college.
Okay, all right.
I mean, but they sold CDs too, so it wasn't a formal only record store.
Yeah, no. They modernized.
But in Austin, my nephew, who is, he's 9 or 10 now, I went into record stores for his 8th and 7th birthday because he's obsessed with music from the 80s on vinyl.
Oh, you got to support that. Congratulations. The United States has fallen out of the top 10 internet speed demons. We are now number 11. We're number 11. Very proud of that fact. In order, the top 10, this is based on average broadband speeds. The number 1 is Singapore, 195 megabits per second.
Singapore is really tiny and very dense.
Easy to do. Same thing with Hong Kong, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about Romania, South Korea.
Romania is a little different.
Switzerland, Taiwan, Monaco is tiny, Andorra, Hungary, Sweden, and then the United States. However,
so embarrassing.
We're better than Liechtenstein, so take that. That's pretty small, and they're only 119 megabits per second. We're 124. Yeah, megabits per second. Thailand, France, Spain, Denmark, Canada. We're better than Canada. Norway, Luxembourg, Netherlands, China. We're better than China. So there you go.
So what it would be more interesting in the OECD does report this is the percentage of people in each country who are stuck with only with zero or like
sub broadband
crappy DSL basically.
No, I agree. And I bet you we're pretty high up on that chart. I would guess.
People who don't have it?
Yeah.
Well, and there are people who don't need the internet. I am constantly surprised that there is still, like, if you look at the FCC reports, there are people who are just like, it's not for me.
Do you want to talk about the Benedict Evans article you tweeted about, News by the Time?
Yeah, I like it, but I think you'll enjoy. There's one particular. Where is it? You surprised me. I wasn't on that kind of JB ready to hit the button.
I'm trying to rush through the rest of this show because it's almost we want to go home.
Because Stacey is sleepy.
Stacey is sleepy.
I lost it.
Not hungry. I'm like a toddler.
I'm hungry.
I don't know why y'all have me.
I haven't eaten.
Are you on some crazy diet again, are you?
No. I got to, though. Oy.
So television advertising, you think it's not been affected yet by the internet? It as a percentage of GDP, Benedict Evans points out that it's lost 40%.
Wow.
Ooh.
Wow.
You should save that as your number, Jeff.
I got other numbers. I'm generous.
Oh,
I got numbers galore.
So this was fascinating too. As newspaper circulation fell, and it started falling long ago, ad revenue went up in newspapers because they added more pages. They consumed more newsprint, and they added more staff, which I found moderately interesting. U.S. newsprint consumption of tons per newspaper employee went down. But this is the one that's relevant to the show. Google So and Ben's brilliant, and he cautions not being, putting too much weight into Google Trends. But he shows the search of best versus cheap. It's a little lower down. That it crossed a line. That when the internet started, we were all looking for cheapest, and now we're looking for it's up a little bit.
The best. That's really interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
That's really interesting.
Keep going up. Keep going up. It's where is it? It's 2 lines across with a very jagged edge.
This is the one that I thought that's the TV spending is. TV spending is this light gray. Internet spending is the orange, and you can see this slice of ad spend, which was which was less than 0 in 1995, has slowly grown to.
He redid the post. 50%. That's why it's not there.
Oh, he took it out, huh?
I think so. Yeah. Right. So it's in my Twitter feed. But yeah. So there it is. That's it.
Best versus cheap. Red is best. Cheap is black. People aren't looking for the best price. They're looking for the best product. That's really interesting.
Which also says that goes into the magazine turf, right? Oh, I'm going to buy Rolling Stone to find the best albums.
Expertise. That's why the New York Times was smart to buy the wire cutter.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, that and the affiliate links.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's interesting. Yeah, that
was interesting. I thought you'd like that.
I'm not surprised. I mean, I think the internet definitely influenced that. You could well, and also the glut of crap, cheap products might have something to do with it too.
Well, and it is easier.
Cheap.
It is easier to find people who speak to your niche on the internet in a way, and it's usually cheaper too.
No, it's true. We don't talk about price very often on our reviews. I mean, we do, but it's not the most important criterion. Just looking to see if there's anything else. The Oscars delayed 2 months. They're going to be in March or April instead of January. Don't care.
Reed Hastings and his wife giving $120 million to Morehouse Spelman, two historically African American.
Yeah, that's great.
Serving colleges plus a scholarship fund.
That's great.
That's good.
Yeah, Morehouse is where Bill Cosby went.
That is not necessarily something they want to tout.
No,
sorry, shouldn't have brought that up.
Just as an FYI. The
intersection of. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, just
best and worst.
Yeah. Best and worst. WeWork has found a way to use its space. They're offering classroom space
to private schools in New York. I wonder if they're thinking there's a lot of money there, or whether they just don't have any use for the space, or what. I was talking about needing more space for our school, and I was thinking about trying to go to WeWork, but now we don't need the space for a while.
Huh. So your daughter's school is it gonna be back to school in the fall?
It's going to be blended. It looks, but I haven't read the 11 pages.
I bet you that's what everybody's doing is some sort of intermediate step. Yeah.
It looks like I knew they were. It looks like they are pulling back the number of kids. Like she will only go to school 3 days a week or 2 days a week, and then while she's there, other kids will be at home, and then vice versa on the other. So the teachers will be there 4 days a week.
So. When a newsletter published a negative story about eBay.
Good God.
This is amazing. This story gets more amazing by the minute.
Its former communications
chief. This is the Tiger King.
And their public relations chief decided to go after the newsletter's editor. We're going to crush this lady, they wrote. And the cyber stalking campaign included sending them live cockroaches. They sent the couple a funeral wreath, a bloody pig Halloween mask, and a book on surviving the death of a spouse. Federal prosecutors claim the former eBay employees James Bao and David Harville led the elaborate campaign. 4 other former eBay employees were also charged. But also, an executive is now indicted, former PR chief, Executive 2, named Executive 2 in the cyber stalking indictment. He has not been charged with a crime yet. Former executive one was the former chief executive, Devin Wenig, also not charged with anything. So they got the guys who actually did it, the low-level employees, but there seems to be a smoking gun implying that they were in order to do this from above.
What possesses someone to think this is a good idea? I
eBay says we have terminated all involved employees, including the company's former chief communications officer, back in September. Wow.
It's just baffling to me. Like, I've had people who drive me nuts, like commenters. Like, I had people stalk me at GigaOM and just disagreed rudely with me about everything. And I was like, God, that person's obnoxious. But nowhere would I come up with this crazy plan to do this calculated campaign to, like...
Well, just so you know, it is apparently an indictable offense.
It's so baffling.
It is wild, isn't it?
And this person is hidden in corporate America. Like, you don't just jump from like being a normal person to that, like, right there's somewhere is a chain of just bad decisions.
Anger issues. Yeah.
But
let's wrap things up with Stacey Higginbotham's thing of the week. Do you have a thing of the week?
I have two. Y'all want a book or do y'all want an app?
Oh, I like books.
All right. I just finished reading Lawrence Wright's The End of October, which is about a pandemic. But it also, tied to some of the things we talk about on this show, is it was a good book. I felt like the ending was a little rushed. It felt like kind of like the last season of Game of Thrones, where you're like, wait, what just happened? What? But that's okay. So it talks about a pandemic, and it's remarkably accurate.
Wow.
And he must have written it after Trump was elected, because there's definitely the president there is Trump and the vice president is probably Pence. He also talks
it's not
about
a novel though, or is it?
It is a novel. It's a novel. So he's usually writing nonfiction. I read mostly, like, I read a Scientology thing that was just freaking awesome.
Yes, I did. I read that also. That's where I knew the name. So the name of this book is what's again?
The End of October.
The End of October.
Did I get that right? What if I got that wrong? Anyway, but he also talks about Russian interference with the elections. And because of his research and his knowledge of national security, it's a very factual book. And it did a really good job creating a narrative around cyber war and how, what a big problem it is and how we pretty much ignore the influence.
I can't wait to read this. This sounds so good.
It's pretty good. Again, the ending kind of jumped there real fast, but sure. But I enjoyed it, and it was a good read, and not, while it is a pandemic book.
So did he write this after the pandemic had already hit, or was he? No. So he was kind of prescient.
He was just super prescient.
Wow. Yes. Wow, that's really interesting. A devastating virus that begins in Asia before going global.
It's an influenza, not a coronavirus. But, I mean, everything about mask policy, just a lot of the stuff that, like, I'm like, oh, well, he called that real well. Good him. Go him.
Wow, interesting. Lawrence Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T, The End of October. I'm putting that on my Audible list. Thank you, Stacey. That's a great pick. Jeff, have you a number?
I do. I'm gonna go back to my Benedict Evans fan club. And in his newsletter, which I do recommend, I read every week loyally, he had a little bit of fun putting up a clear illustration of how venture capital works. So he put up a press release from June 7, 1999, announcing a $25 million equity funding in Google from a few folks, Sequoia and Kleiner Perkins. And he said, just look at the other companies these folks are involved in the list, and you see the economics of VC, right? So John Doerr, co-founder of At Home. How well did that work? Mike Morris, director of various companies, including Yahoo, eToys, Quote.com, eGroups, PlanetRx, Flextronics, and Webvan. Door.
We think these guys are geniuses. It's hysterical.
But the failure rate is so amazing. Amazon, okay, good. Drugstore.com, Handspring, Healthy on WebMD, still alive. Home Shop, Intuit, and Sun. Those two don't count. And if you go down and look at the companies that they've all been involved in, yeah, we all know this. We know that it's about, having one huge home run and then it makes up for all the failures, and it's such a big home run that you win. But it's pretty funny to see the list of companies here. So I enjoyed that.
Very nice. I have actually a pick that came from Alex Lindsay on MacBreak Weekly yesterday. As you know, I'm all over making face masks. Alex has recommended a free program, iOS only, that is called Bellus 3D. And I'll show you. It lets you, in literally 30 seconds, scan your head to make a perfect 3D file of it, which I guess you could use to 3D print your head if you really wanted to. But they've now added a new thing called a mask fitter, which means you can take your head and make a frame that goes over the fabric to make a perfect seal in your mask. And you see, I've ordered.
Okay, Leo, this is going to haunt my dreams. The floating Leo mask head is really terrifying.
I call it the Hannibal Lecter mask.
Bring me the head of Leo Laporte.
I was looking at the chat and then I pulled back to this and I'm like, oh, Lord.
But
so it's not only, Stacey, did he lose his neck, but he's lost the top of his head.
Well, I don't need that part. That's empty, as you can see. I don't really need that.
We do that.
But the idea is not the head, which, by the way, this app has been out for a long time. We've played with it, but there's not much you can do with it, I guess, unless you wanted to print a mask of yourself or something. But now there really is something useful you can do, which is make a filter piece that goes on your mask.
Could fix me with my effing horrible torture CPAP machine.
It does look like that, doesn't it? Now the idea that there's cloth going to be under that, and then you put rubber bands on the T joints at the four corners to tighten it, and then you're going to have a very nice seal. And I have ordered several of these. They're about $20 to get them printed. I got them printed by a dental supply company. Yeah.
What the?
What? That's a transition I didn't get.
Oh, I don't know. Jeff's just throwing stuff in just for fun.
Okay.
It's I'm here.
Anyway.
And you are there, Jeff.
Anyway, so the program is called Bellus, Bellus 3D. It's Bellus3D.com, high quality face scanning. It is actually kind of amazing. It really does an amazing job. And now it actually has a use.
Well, if you're an eBay executive and you want to terrify someone, you could actually use it and a 3D printer to 3D print.
That's right. A scary face mask. You know what I should do is print it and see if it can fool face recognition. That would be kind of interesting.
You could print a photo of their child and send it to them.
Send them
a skin mask of their child. Ooh. Oh, that would be horrifying.
That would be terrible. Let's not do that. Stacey Higginbotham apparently has some very deviant ideas, but we'll never see them because she writes about IoT, and there's nothing weird about IoT. Stacey, maybe there is. I don't know. StaceyOnIoT.com. Get her newsletter. It's free, and subscribe, of course, to her podcast with Kevin Toffel, the IoT podcast, at GigaStacey on the Twitter. And a new house soon. Will you want to take a week off to move, or it's kind of in between shows, huh?
Well, I'm taking July 1st. I will not be here July 1st for y'all. But when I come back on whatever the July 8th, I will have my new office.
Oh,
it will be
I can't wait to see it. That's going to be exciting.
Yeah, same here.
Congratulations.
It will not have all the stuff. I'm just going to let you know right now. The bookcases, everything is so back ordered from
as long
COVID.
As the printer's still there, I don't care.
The printer is not going to have a place of honor.
You're not putting it on the floor, I hope.
Well, I am for this will still be there for now. It's not the finished office.
Stacey, your standard has to be rate my Skype room.
So it's going to get there.
Says Mr. 10 out of 10.
I was just saying.
My bookshelves aren't going to even be there until like it's 3 weeks after the end of August. So
wow.
It's
we're
a
still
long
waiting to
time.
hear anything about a freezer.
Yeah. So
now I'm worried. I don't know we're gonna find in her freezer. She's got some strange fantasies. I've made her weird.
What?
Thank you.
Who?
Huh? What?
Me?
No, not you. No. But
So
if I find my child's printed head in my mailbox, I'll know who did it.
I
Let's
would
put it that
never
way.
actually
No,
send,
she would think of it, but never do it.
That would be beyond the pale.
Creepy.
Yes.
Creepy.
Did you know about the Trust and Safety Professional Association?
No. Are you a member?
No. AMAC and Eric Goldman announcing this a few hours ago to a member-based organization to support the global community of professionals who develop and enforce principles and policies that define acceptable behavior online.
Good.
TSPA.info.
Sounds like a bunch of nannies. Unless you
I
join.
thought you were going to put a new word or a different word in there. So I was like, oh.
Nannies. It's the nanny state. That's Jeff Jarvis. Wait a minute. Oh, man, I lost my cue sheet.
It's all right. Blah, 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 Craig Newmark.
He is the director of the Town Night
That's
Center.
all right. My mom says that. Is that a New York
Blada,
thing?
blada, blada.
No,
Blada, blada,
Sarai.
blada.
Sarai. Hey, Baba
Sorry.
Louie. Sarai comes from
That's an age thing.
a child's cartoon called Quick Draw McGraw.
Yeah, see?
Oh.
But that just means your mother's our age. The director of the Town
She
Night...
also... Oh,
What?
I was going to say, just like Jeff, she randomly shouts at me in German sometimes, too.
Does she?
So,
Wow.
yeah.
Is she German?
No, she just knows German.
Oh.
That's interesting.
Why? Everybody asks me, why? Germans ask me, why?
That's true. The Germans mostly speak English, and they're happy and better than we do. So
yes,
you don't have to learn their language.
No.
Jeff is the director of the Town Night Center for Entrepreneurial Journalism at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. We do this show every Wednesday, 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 Eastern, 20:30 UTC. Watch this. Here we go. Sarai. There you go.
Baba Louie.
Hey, Baba Louie.
The base of Baba Booey.
All right. Sarai. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Stacey. Really a pleasure.
Thank
Always
you,
a pleasure.
boss.
We'll see you next week on This Week in Google. Bye-bye, everybody.
Hey, I'm Jason Howell, host of Hands on Android, a techie look at how to customize your Android device, as well as take a look underneath the hood and see what's really going on down there. You can subscribe by going to twit.tv/HOA, or you can find Hands on Android in your podcatcher of choice.